station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to Taking Care of Business with Freddy, Fixit, Santory as they bring the power of AMP2.TV video format to the radio. Today's show will have interviews and concepts that bring you, the public, closer to how real radio and television work hand in hand to bring the best platform to sell your business. Tune in on the WWNNradio.com website or follow AMP on AMP2.TV website to see radio.
Good evening, Boca. Yes, we are on the air. There you go, Linda's got us on the air. This is Fred Santory, Freddy Fixit Santory, coming live at 1470. It's been a couple of weeks. I had the flu last week, and I could not do what I had to do, and I gave up the show to a gentleman who is going to be bringing you a sports show on Tuesday nights from 6:30 to 7:30 starting December 2nd. But for now, we are taking care of business. And you can see us live on WNN1470.com, the website of our home. That's WNN1470.com. You can see us live. We have a special treat for you, Gary DeAngelis. DeAngelis, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Correct. He's going to be talking real estate today. We're going to be talking about the good, the bad, the ugly. 888-565-1470 is the number if you have a question for this gentleman. Always wanted to do a real estate show. And at least I'm going to get to interview a gentleman to doing that. And we have grown. I just want to make an announcement. We've grown a little bit. We have a new studio on 18th Street in Powerline. And we invite you, the public, to come out. It's open to the public. We're doing our shows from there. It has a 3-set deal where we are trying to expand radio and television to work hand in hand, which is what this show is all about. But we invite you to 18th Street at Boca Point, and we have shows that are going on all week there. And you come down, you can be part of the studio audience, and we give away prizes, and we give away invitations to restaurants and things of that nature. And it's a whole lot of fun, and we got that on the way starting Monday of next week. So that's 18th Street and Powerline in Boca Raton. All right, let's take care of some business. Let's talk to my good friend Gary DeAngelis. Lives in South Florida for over 30 years. Went to school for architectural engineering. Layout subdivisions for developers for county approval. You're a busy guy.
Oh, those were the days.
You're still doing any of this stuff? You're rehab manager for Rio Properties for 10 months. Realtor for over 6 years, and an investor for 15. So you actually on both sides of the equation, real estate and
I have a different perspective, on both sides. Being a realtor and also on the investing side, and it's interesting how the two kind of intertwine.
Now, I was involved in the real estate business up in New York, which was a long time ago. And yes, Gio, I know you're watching, and it was a long time ago because you were still in Pampers. But what are the new challenges right now in the real estate industry that's going on?
Okay, let's first talk about skewed information, okay? And there's a professor from Sweden, Hans Rosling, okay, and he states that you have a high statistical chance of being quite wrong about what you think you know, okay? Now, and he did a public survey, national survey between the Swedish people and the U.S. And based on 3 items: the personal bias, outdated facts, and news bias. And if you Google, you can check them out. He has these surveys, which are the multiple choice questions, and it's funny because the chimps got more of the questions right than the Swedes and the Americans did.
And what kind of questions were they asking?
They were asking questions about, part of history. What happened during the Depression. Basic questions that Americans should know off the top of their head.
Mm-hmm.
And because of these personal biases, outdated facts, and the news bias, we don't always take that information correctly. And that's why it's up to, us as realtors, like we do these shows, so we can provide some value and some correct information, to help people, make better decisions.
Is this in terms of buyers, sellers, or both?
Well, getting back to the question, the big challenge is like, it's like, what are the true home values? Like I did valuations in BPOs, which are broker price opinions and stuff, and I'm finding like even that isn't a correct value.
Okay.
So and there's a lack of working with the clients, and you can't be everything to everybody as a realtor.
Correct.
All right. So there's the lack of communication today, with the realtors, the skills, the technology. And, so as a realtor, you have to ask the question, what are the benefits that I'm bringing to the table?
Okay.
All right, as a realtor. Do I need to, pick a specialty or a niche, like probate or, waterfront properties, something like that.
Right. Now, when you have clients that come and see you, how has the game changed? I know that values. Let's talk about values for a second. Values on homes, are they going up? Are they going down? Or has the game changed in terms of getting the most you can because the market does not emphasize with that kind of information? It doesn't equate to the numbers you're looking for.
Well, we're constantly, being told, the information that we have, like Trulia and Zillow, and when you go on those sites, right, you have to understand that how they get this information, right? So you really need like a professional or realtor, right, to really
strategy.
Yeah,
strategy?
Especially if they're familiar with that local market, to go out there and do, the comparables, to make sure that that the house is going to sell for what it should sell for, and as I mentioned earlier, it's like the skewed information we have. That's one of the media sources, that homeowners will think that their house is worth more, and and it makes it a little more difficult for the realtors to do their job.
Right. Now, let's say I want to sell my house and I want a number that just doesn't exist. But Godzilla, Bezilla, all the Zillers out there tell me, oh, yeah, this house, because of the size and the location and whatever the formula is, they putting the house through the roof. That's not necessarily correct.
No.
The appraiser comes in and appraises the house. Now, we know that we had a problem with appraisers back in the early, part of the 2006 and 7. So they've become, and the pendulum now has swung in that direction, they've become more conservative. Do they enhance a deal or do they hurt a deal?
I've been seeing this happen a lot about appraisers. They're not matching the purchase price. Right? It's like the industry is overcorrecting itself. The problem, they work for the banks, and I understand that they're protecting the banks, but they're not helping the market to recover. So the appraisal, which is, it's an art, it's not a science, so why are we not allowed to challenge that? We need a different process, for this issue. Sometimes there's a small difference in between what the purchase price and what the appraiser comes up with, right? And that could kill the deal. So, and I know I've been hearing this recently, a lot of the friends of mine who are realtors, they've been going through this, and it's an issue. And, so why, if we try to challenge the appraiser, there should be a process for that, right? It's just, it doesn't help the industry when we have those kind of issues.
Okay.
And I've been hearing that a lot lately. So that's, so there's an issue right there.
So now this is buying and selling. Now the housing market has increased, what, 16%, 15% this year? Or is that number not true either?
Well, see, okay, I go back to the skewed information. Those numbers, where do they come from? Okay,
good idea. I don't know.
It's very demographic.
Okay.
If you're looking at waterfront properties, right, those are going to always rise, at a higher rate than most other properties.
Okay.
Right? There were some areas, not so nice areas, where you have a lot of the distressed properties in that area. They're not going to appreciate as much, and that's where investors come in, right? And they're not the bad guy, of the industry, because a lot of these investors come in and they'll completely rehab the house, raise the value of the neighborhood, and a lot of buyers out there, they don't have that kind of cash to do a purchase and then go in and rehab the house.
Right.
So and we have the government not being friendly to the investors. You have the Dodd-Frank Act, which has a lot of restrictions on the investors. So but it's still something that the investors it's something that they have to learn. That's one of the reasons why I like to consult with investors. When they're trying to start doing this as a business.
Right.
All right. So this is a great time to be in the investing field. Right. And the technology that we have makes it it's even easier. We can research property values, neighborhoods, tax records. We can contact asset managers.
What about, is there a market? I understand why the government doesn't want the investors to get in there. They get in over their head. They can't pay the mortgages, and it goes round and round. But is there a market right now for the investor to take advantage of?
Well, absolutely. There's well, when you talk about investing, there's many facets of the real estate investing.
Okay.
Buying a property that needs rehabbing and reselling for a profit. You have lease options, you have wholesaling, you have buying discounted notes, buying land and developing it. There's probate, and also working with distressed sellers.
Right. All right. Let me take a break here because I'm gonna have a cough attack. All right. This is Taking Care of Business with Freddy and Gary DeAngelis. We'll be right back after this message.
Times are tough, and right now those in the commercial world know that being heard via advertisements is the name of the game. AmpSquare.tv understands how important advertisement is and is proud to express that it's truly the only plugged-in internet television production company on the market. Amp2.tv live streams all their shows across all the major selling markets in the U.S. and abroad. Call them at 866-224-5422. The AmpSquare.tv library allows productions to be seen over and over again, making commercial platforms more usable. Call 866-224-5422. Toll free 866-224-5422. Amp2.tv, the first and only internet television network that's truly plugged in. 866-224-5422. That's AMP2.TV. You are listening and watching Taking Care of Business, powered by Amp2.tv, as your host brings you new concepts using radio and TV together, forming a powerful platform for business people in all areas. You have a question or comment? Call in 888-565-1470, and our host will provide ideas to bring your business to life. Now, back to the show.
And we're back. Sorry about that. I have a cold, trying to get over the flu, and I had a little scratch, and we're all good to go. Okay, let's jump into the investing part of what you do. Areas of investing. What is it that, suppose you want to be an investor and you want to get into that field. What makes it lucrative? What's out there for you? How do you work with investors?
Oh, as a realtor?
As a realtor.
Well, that's a good question. When someone approaches me and they say, I would like to get involved in the investing field, I would immediately say, okay, well, what is it that you feel investing is going to do for you? Besides the obvious, all right, I want to make a lot of money. There's a certain skill set, right, to be in any field a successful investor. And from how I see it, in my experience, and obviously there's always a learning curve, in any new venture that you're going to do.
Right.
But I'd say taking action is one of the most important things. Having focus, right? So you have to have these skills if you want to be an investor, or you want to be a successful investor. Taking action, focus, and I'll give an example. It's using private money to do a project. If you don't, you will focus on getting it done because you're responsible for these people that are lending you the money, and I think that's a huge obstacle that people have in investing. Is like, I don't have any money, right? And actually, that's the least item to worry about. If you can find a good deal, you can usually put it together. So I always tell people, well, why don't you go to the real estate investment club? Like in Boca has the Boca Real Estate Investment Club, and you've got David Dweck, who's the founder, and he's amazing, and he teaches all different aspects of the investing, and he also lends money. So if you find a good deal and you go to David and say, listen, I have this great deal, what can we do with this? And he'll lend you some of the money, right? Even if you have some of yours, you can get together and you can actually do a project together.
Now, Gary, do you find great deals? Ugliest house in the best neighborhood, those type of things?
I tell you, Fred, I wish I could find great deals every day. It's just, it's a huge challenge. And a lot of that comes down to marketing. Okay. With anything else, even on the realtor side, it's probably one of the most important aspects of in any business is marketing, right? And it's also the correct type of marketing. So whether you're a realtor or you're an investor, I mentioned earlier there's all these different ways to invest. There's lease options and buying notes and wholesaling,
Right.
But you really have to pick a specific niche and focus on that. So if you're going to be, a rehabber, you really need to know about, the funding options, working with contractors, just anything involved with construction, the local zoning laws or the codes. Permitting, right, stuff like that, absolutely. And you have to be, one of the skills is being consistent,
Right.
with things that you do, and you can't be all over the place. And I'm guilty of that. I see the shiny dime of the month. There's always something coming out that, wow, this looks great. This and especially if you're getting a lot of emails. There's so many so-called gurus out there, and the information is really good, but it all comes down to implementing a system that's going to work, right? And you really have to have the discipline to really put that together. And as an investor too, you want to be able to be networking, go to the meetings,
Right.
Attend events or clubs. You just have to get out there.
Now, let's say I come to you as an investor. Now, I did this in New York. I had my own crew. I didn't use subcontractors. I did it myself. And if I couldn't do it, if my guys couldn't do it, then we brought in a sub. Because, sometimes you make money not by the end of the game, but how much you buy your stuff from. So if I get a house as an investor and I want to put it out there for a buyer, you usually want to get a buyer before you get into the game.
Right.
Because that's the best type of deal, because you know what the buyer is going to want. You sort of give them what they want within a certain reasonable cost. But sometimes something always happens. So I call Gary. I said, Gary, listen, I got this property, this inventory. I'm building it. This is what I'm doing. This is the buyers I want you to. And I used to finance deals too in the day. So is that still happening right now? Do investors look at it that way, or they just flip them and get out?
Again, that comes down to your marketing, right? If you're doing a rehab flip, you want to make sure that what your after repaired value is going to be,
Right
and
there,
the
okay.
type of buyers. I'm looking at a project now in a neighborhood where it's a low inventory market. Okay, you want to analyze that particular property. It's like, all right, I want to spend the time. Is this thing going to sell at the price that I need it to, and the time that I want it to?
Right.
And that's where as a realtor, I can help the investor do that.
Right. Well, you give the information before you
I
get
give
into
the information.
the deal.
I can give them the current, the closed sales in the area.
Right.
And you really have the information to follow through with the project. And again, it comes down to okay, so how do I find these great deals? And that comes back to your marketing, or just being able to get out there and network with people.
Right.
You could as a realtor, the MLS, it's very competitive, so you're going to have a lot of people that are looking at these properties, scrutinize these properties.
Right.
And if there's a good deal out there, it's usually gone in within a day. I've looked at properties that are going out there the same day, and you call the listing agent, it's like, oh, it's already on the contract. So yes, it's a bit of a challenge. So you got to use your head a little bit, and probably one of the biggest issues that I have as a realtor, mostly, is that we're not taught to think for ourselves. Okay, we're kind of told how to do the business. You have all these seminars and coaching and memberships and all these things that are like, they're kind of telling you how to do the business. So what does that say? That means like everybody else is doing the same thing that you are.
That's right.
Right? I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've called, for sale by owner, and, just trying to get and communicate with that person, maybe set an appointment and such. And he just comes out, well, you're the eighth realtor that called me today. It's like, what's so different about, why should I work with you?
Exactly.
Okay. Which is a legitimate question.
Yes,
It's like,
it is. Yes, it is.
It's like, and you have to think, what are the benefits I'm going to provide as a realtor? That's a little different. Okay. And a lot of it always comes down to the marketing, but it's got to be more than that. I feel that in the industry the way it is now, we're not really providing the value that we should. Right? It shouldn't always be about getting the listing. I think I look at myself as a consultant. It's like, okay, well, listen, I just like to talk to you. And so I can't, the perception that I think, the public has, as realtors, and I actually did a study, they compare us to like used car salesmen. And I kind of understand why a little bit, but I would like to just create value, for my clients, whether I get the listing or not, and I think some of the issues that, and I understand that some of these homeowners, they can't afford to pay maybe a 6% or less overall when they net, and they're trying to sell it themselves. And because of that, it takes the professional out of the picture. It's like, why? So if we don't get the listing, that homeowner can't communicate with a professional.
Right. Well, I think that the market now, because there is no inventory and people are jumping to what little inventory is out there. The amount of homes that are available are small and none. So the bottom line here is, people think that they can do it themselves. And sometimes it's a very costly lesson, because you end up holding on to your property longer than you should. If the market goes cold again, and then you begin to look out for the professionals, and you probably started the number that you should have started to begin with. But we're running short on time, Gary. I also talked to you a little bit about some of the different things that you can do. On this show, Taking Care of Business, we introduce video to AM radio. We do this because if you're a realtor and you want to introduce video of people's homes and open it up to bigger markets, bigger listening audiences, people that are looking to buy certain deals, it's out there. And there's enough coverage now to get information to people that every realtor now that's joining on the bandwagon, and you got a lot of people joining the real estate market nowadays, especially the way things are going. It's the guy that has 2 feet on the ground, has a plan, and understands what he wants to do. Your experience, from what I'm reading here, is tremendous. That's the kind of people you want to work with, because there are things about dressing up a piece of property to make it more sellable. There's all sorts of stuff you can do, but you got to join the right team, and I think that's important. And we got 1 minute left. Let me leave it to you. Phone number, website, how they can reach you.
Sure. If anybody has any questions, whether it's about their home to sell or a buyer or investing, they can reach me at 845-582-1324. Again, that's 845-582-1324.
Excellent. All right. Well, that wraps it up for Taking Care of Business. Again, December 2nd, you're going to have this new sports show we're going to be putting up there. I want to thank my guest, Gary DeAngelis, for coming down and sharing some insight on realty. And we'll see you guys next week. And enjoy the week and be safe. Stay warm because it's going to get cold. And we'll talk to you later.
You have been listening to Taking Care of Business, powered by amp2.tv. You can reach amp2.tv by calling 866-224-5422 and join the amp2.tv radio TV network. We give you all the tools you need to have your own show, both on radio and TV, and bring new energy and ideas to the business you're trying to promote. If you want to be a leader in new concepts and make your business #1 in the area, amp2.tv has the platforms to get you there. 866-224-5422 is the number to get you started. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored